Okay, here we go.
Here we go. Good morning. The Inside Look's brought to you each Sunday by Gessel & Associates Insurance Agency, where we're busy doing the right things for the right reasons. Joined here in the studio, Courtney George, Auto Allies, Allies Auto Sales, my son Alex Gessel,
Hey.
and co-host Michael Morris, Morris
buddy.
Media.
I'm excited we got Courtney today because
Hey, isn't that great?
she looks like she's raring to go. She's
Yeah.
loving this opportunity already.
She said something about she forgot her deodorant this morning. I don't know.
Man, no, I'm glad I
That's
put
your
it
story?
on.
Oh, no, that's what it was. You're glad you remembered. I thought you said you
Right.
forgot.
Yeah, no. Nope.
We've invited Courtney on to talk about the auto repair business. She and her
Yeah.
husband Don have been busy at it for what, 14 years? I think
Yep,
you said.
yeah, 14 years.
You guys do things a little differently. You do it right.
Yeah.
You've shared a lot of things with us as part of our business networking group, Am Spirit, Tri-County chapter in Grove City. We're very excited. We had an opportunity to insure your operation, and in the process of doing that, really getting to know you and
Absolutely.
how you guys go about doing things. And I will say, one of the things I first said to Alex is we've insured hundreds of garages over the years, but I think yours is probably the cleanest one we've ever seen. And it's not because you don't do any work out of there.
Right. Yes.
But that's pretty impressive. But why don't you take a few moments to tell the listeners how you got started in the business, how to reach you, and just take it from here and tell us about you.
Yeah, so my husband, Don, started in the business pretty much when he was 18, worked at various independent shops over the years until he opened up his own in July of 2005. He started Auto Allies. The building used to be a restaurant, so
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, kind of transformed
I didn't
it.
realize that either.
Yeah, transformed it into.
Maybe you should cut a hole in the wall
other-
and we'll do a little taco truck thing out the
There
side.
you go.
know? You could be smoking in the back bay there and
All right.
shoving food through the window.
There you go. Yeah, so, but yeah, you can reach us at 614-877-3001.
Do that again.
614-877-3001.
And
You know,
where you,
well, I was going to say, one of the things that is advantageous of Courtney being here today is we just got to hear her do a presentation on basically kind of winterization, on what people need to look
good
for.
point. Good point.
And there were a lot of things, Larry, you brought up a couple of things that you said, oh, I hadn't thought of that. You know, the power steering fluid and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Courtney, can you touch on some of those things? Because it is winter right now, and there are things that people should be on the lookout. Because I know my car, I already stopped you in the hallway to tell you I had a couple issues going on.
Yeah.
Of course, it doesn't help that his car's 200 years old.
That's true.
Right? Yeah, so as far as maintenance goes, we've actually seen quite a few cars coming in already, so early, it's not even winter yet, with antifreeze leaks, and they didn't even know. So, as far as maintenance goes, it's always a good idea to, bring your car in and get it checked out and see if there's any leaks going on, or be, advised on the conditions of certain fluids that you have in your vehicle.
You guys still do that hydrometer test? Is that what it's called? Where
Oh.
it registers how far below zero your coolant's good for? Is that still?
Yes, yep, we
that's
still
kind of an
do
important
that,
thing?
yep,
Okay.
definitely. I think we try and set it, negative 32 degrees or something like that.
Sounds like it's going to be that way
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah.
We talked about tire pressure too, right? And
Oh, yeah.
Some of the confusion. I asked you, do you go off the pressure that's on the door jam printed by the manufacturer? Do you go by what's on the tire, which is a maximum pressure? Or I tend to split the difference because I feel like what's on the door jam's a little too low. But
Yeah.
tell us what you guys normally do on that.
We try and go off the door jam as well, but I would say for the most part we try and keep regular sedans or SUVs around 32 to 35 psi.
I remember you saying
on the
that.
tires.
A lot of people don't realize how important that pressure is. If you overinflate, the center of your tire wears out, goes, prematurely wears. If you underinflate it, the shoulders of the tire do that. If you got them too hard, maybe you don't get the traction you want in the snow, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Not just the snow, but any surface.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know a lot about tires, Larry.
Yeah, I've replaced a few in my time. So this time of year, all that stuff's important, right? Getting ready, just like winterizing your house or your RV, whatever. You got to get ready and prepare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Battery. People do come in
Yep.
for yeah.
Yep, we had a couple actually today come in for battery issues. So yeah, it's definitely not a bad idea to have that checked. Just to make sure if your battery's getting ready to die and you don't want to be stranded somewhere.
Mm-hmm. One thing we've noticed too, Courtney, is that you have such an inviting personality. You are such a sweet person, and I say that with all sincerity. You are a genuinely nice person, and I know that at that front desk with Don in the back for the most part and you out front, it's a little bit of a unique arrangement.
Yeah.
There's not that many people, not that many women that are really front and center in the auto service and repair business. But you mentioned to us that you kind of learned on the fly with Don by your side, and
Oh yeah.
and that you sometimes are out there wrenching yourself, right? Tell
Yeah.
us how you kind of went about learning the business. And
I think I really just learned it, kind of being around it, listening to him and just absorbing knowledge over the years on different topics that interest me, even trying to figure out why cars won't start or, why their turn signals aren't working or anything like that, even after you...
Learning by doing.
Yes, definitely. Yep, and I've enjoyed it.
What do you end up, this time of year, do you end up, because I think that when I saw you during the middle of summer, you guys had a parking lot full of people, but this time of year, what are you seeing the most that's coming in? Is it people just general maintenance work, or are they really having problems with their starters or their brakes or...
Weather tends to kind of affect that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, definitely. I would say with this cold snap that we've had the last couple days, it's really brought out a lot of batteries, a lot of coolant leaks. We've seen a lot of coolant leaks. Water pumps leaking, radiators that are leaking, hoses that are leaking and just, deteriorated, over time. So.
What do you suppose? What's behind all the leakage?
I think it's
seals,
just
the seals contract as it gets cold?
Yep.
Huh,
just
never
cold,
thought of
hot,
that.
and
Those guys are over there telling secrets. We have to keep an eye on them.
What's that?
Oh, we're busting you guys up.
Who's the perfect customer for you guys, Courtney? Is it really just kind of anybody, or are you?
Yeah, I'd say anybody who, genuinely wants to take care of their car. Cars are really expensive. They're expensive to maintain. Overall, just somebody who really wants to take care of their car.
And you guys do a lot of work, not just on your normal, everyday commuter vehicles, but you guys are doing work on like collectors and some older model vehicles and other things.
They have some cool cars in that lot. I can't remember which one we were looking at, but we were in that parking lot and I said, what's that thing doing here? And you said that's something that's like somebody's hobby that they gave to you, so it's become your hobby as well.
Yes. Yeah, there's an older MG that we have on the lot
cool.
there. But yeah, we do a fair amount of classic car restorations down there. We tend to call them our winter projects. People that, they want to drive their car during the summertime and then they want to soup it up over the winter, if you will.
So did Don work in automotive repair prior to starting Auto Allies, or what led you guys to pursue that?
Actually, he had an older probe that transmission went out in it, and he pulled it himself and took it to one of his family members worked at a transmission shop, so he took it there, and they asked him if he wanted the job, and so that's kind of where he got started, was working on transmissions.
Think of how many people had a probe and had that same issue and never made a career out of it.
I know, right?
What kind of probe are we talking about here, right?
Either one ends up in a really uncomfortable mess.
Yes.
It's downhill from here, guys. Well, transmissions are crazy. I've been in many shops where they're torn down, and it's like, that's got to be the equivalent of brain surgery on the bench in a garage. I mean, it's just how complex they are, and the whole CVT. And you were saying that a lot of the cars anymore, you can't even check the transmission flow anymore. They're sealed.
Yeah, they're not.
That sounds crazy to me.
You actually check the fluid with a scanner. It has to be at a certain temperature, and that temperature will tell you the level of it.
My car is
I
that
did
way.
not
You
realize
can't
that.
see it. You can't see, like, you know, you change the oil, you can see everything else. You can't see that part, and the manual doesn't even tell you where it would be. And I have a Mazda, which everybody loves a Mazda, I'm sure, but it's one of the things where these newer, I would say, once you get past like 2004, they all kind of have that gimmick where they really want you to come in for service where you bought it.
Yeah.
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 Go back, they want you to come back to that dealership. That's their profit center.
Yeah.
You know, that's a good question, is how many people buy a car at a dealership and end up at Auto Allies because of your experience versus, it always makes sense to buy a car and then they're always like, oh, just bring it back here for maintenance and oil changes and all that stuff. But if you really want a mechanic, it's kind of like you have a doctor or a lawyer and your own mechanic, right?
Right.
You gotta have somebody you're comfortable with.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, we try and let our customers know too, even, you know, if they've kind of had a car that they're just, you know, at a point where enough has been enough with repairs, where they'll go and, you know, buy a new car and, you know, they still bring it to us for all the maintenance. So, you know, we try and educate them that you don't have to go back to the dealer. Pretty much
Are
everything.
there any kind of restraints with that as far as, you know,
No.
if dealers kind of...
Nope. As long as you maintain it per their specifications and on time, their warranty, they will still have their factory warranty.
Absolutely. Very cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I know that another thing that you mentioned that is pretty neat. Sometimes repair shops, in fact, Alex and I were in a garage the other day that we insure, and there had been a couple of people working in there kind of in a partnership agreement, and they finally decided to go their own separate ways, so to speak, and I think there's been a little bit of bad blood there in that split, but in the course of conversation in that shop the other day, he started talking about yet another competitor in town, and we started hearing allegations of wrongdoing from this competitor of replacing, quote unquote, replacing parts, spray painting them black, and taking the parts off the vehicle that were not defective, spray painting them black to make them appear new.
If you have that number, I'd love to go there.
Yeah, wouldn't we all? And then bolting them back up. And so, you know, you hear something like this and you think, gosh, I never would have ever even considered someone could be that underhanded, and I wonder if that's even true. But you know, you guys are all about transparency and doing things right and being honest, and God bless you for it. But to the extent that you mentioned something new that you're doing to help people have a comfort level of what's happening.
Transparency and
Could you tell us about that, how that works?
Yeah, we're starting to implement a digital vehicle inspection at the shop, where the technicians will have tablets where it goes over, you know, a lot of systems, underhood, road test, undercar, where they, you know, basically are checking out the health of all these different components in your vehicle, and taking pictures along the way. We take, you know, pictures of the good, take pictures of the bad, and we're going to get to a point where, you know, we're going to start emailing that or texting it to the customers so they can see, you know, what's going on with their
just
vehicle.
open it up on their phone or computer or whatever.
Yeah, and sometimes a visual is a lot better to understand when you're trying to explain, you know, your rotors are really rusty, and, you know, your brake pads are gone and it's ate into the rotor, and just kind of getting that visual is helpful.
I think that's so neat. It's so very comforting to know that you guys are doing that.
Yeah.
But so you get into some video challenges, right? Lighting and how do you pinpoint a problem when it's up there in a hole where it's dark and you can't hardly reach it, and how do you deal with that when you're trying to point something out?
So sometimes they'll help each other out in the back there with lighting and flashlights to try and get, you know. But we've definitely
take a mechanical pointer and
that.
extend it out and shove it up in there. Go right up in there is the problem. Yeah.
Get the miner hat on and try and, you know.
So is that something that you guys will somehow be able to save and make a part of their service records, or is it just something you do for that moment and then
Yep, it saves. It's all backed up, so every time we'll have that report, and then the next time they come in, we'll do another one, and it just kind of builds up. Yeah.
How neat. What made you guys think of that?
Actually, I found it through one of the networking groups that I'm a part of with auto repair. Somebody had talked about doing it, and I reached out to that company, and we
So you guys
got
are in a
started.
network with the other auto repair centers that.
Yeah, definitely. Yep,
Okay.
across the whole
Very cool.
United States. Yeah.
Very
yeah.
cool.
It is cool.
It is fun.
Yeah, because you learn a lot from other repair shops that are doing things different, or
Pointers.
who they use for, like
Sharing
thank you
knowledge
cards,
and-
or
yeah, absolutely.
so
Does that go to the nature of your business though? Like you are a family-owned shop, obviously.
yes. Yep.
And a lot of people look at technology, or the thing I've heard the most, I almost said the name of a company, but you see a lot of things on TV or hear them on radio, but they're more like franchises or big corporate stores. How do you build your own legacy when it's you and Don, and I'm sure eventually your son will take over, but how do you stand out?
Yeah, I think we stand out just being us. What you see is what you get. I mean, we're pretty transparent, and we treat people the way that you would want to be treated, and the way that we would want to be treated. You don't want to be taken advantage of. You want honesty, and I feel like that's one thing that we can say is sometimes auto repair is not fun to do on either end, and we just try and make the best of it and give our customers a lot of options. There's not always one way to do things, to try and let them make the best decision for them. So
I've been fortunate to use you guys on
Yeah.
a few occasions, and been really extremely impressed with
thank you.
the service that you guys provide. So
Thank you.
and, make sure and share that with the listeners.
Thank you.
I'm glad you
Absolutely.
share that with us too. Thank you, buddy.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
Never stops, does it? Well, what else would you like to talk about? Are there things that have come as a surprise to you from when you first started? Things that people perhaps don't know? We call the show The Inside Look because we do try to take a really deep dive into things that aren't commonly discussed or talked about. I know we've touched on some fairly common things, fluids and winter, and are there some things that people are oftentimes surprised by that they don't know when they come to a garage? Things that you think, oh boy, people really need to be aware of this and do this or that to help themselves along down the line? It's a tough question,
That is
right?
a tough question, yeah. I think one thing I'm surprised about, just, being where we are, we're pretty much in Harrisburg, but our address is in Orient. We find at least, once a week, if not more, we'll find a customer that didn't know we were there, and lived in the same, area for a long time. So that surprises me a lot. So we try and keep up on different marketing to kind of get the word out there and let them know where we are. Yeah.
It can be a little tricky to find the first time.
Yeah.
But once you've been there, then you got it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Is it tough in this world where everybody, when you were talking about when you're doing your marketing, where people either want to be the brake shop, oil change place, tire place, they do everything else, but it's hard because you do so many different facets of working on cars. You can't really just tie to one thing, because as soon as you tell someone we're the best at doing transmissions, they're not coming to you for other things. It's only transmissions. You know what I mean? Like, how do you stick out when you're trying to tell somebody about your place? Because when we do our networking stuff and you get 30 seconds to talk about yourself,
Yeah.
you really got to get to the point with somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you do that? What's that
Yeah.
message?
I think the first thing that comes to my head is one call does it all. I mean, we pretty much
There you go.
we do everything besides paint or body work. We've got an alignment machine, tire machine. We can do brakes. We can, do fluid exchanges.
And they do it all exceptionally well.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. So, I can't really think of one thing that we stand out on.
I know you guys, as we were evaluating your business for insurance purposes, one thing that came out was that we had lengthy discussions about the business personal property coverage, and the key thing there was tools. And this kind of leads me to, when you're a generalist like you guys, where you can do so many different things, the vehicles have become so complex that there's a lot of scanners and specialized equipment that's needed, and special tools for this job or that job. So that it's one thing to say we can do it all, but to have the tools necessary can be quite the heavy investment, right?
It is, definitely. I would say, you know, we try not to work on a lot of, you know, European cars or Mercedes, just because, like, of what you just said, the investment into certain specialty tools can be extraordinary, definitely.
Not just on the computer side, but on the mechanical side, right? They have different,
Yep. So but I would say, you know, we can service most makes and models for sure. Yep, we're pretty.
So when you go to price a job, and I was thinking about this on the way in, there's software out there for garages, and I can't recall who it's made by or what it's called, but this kind of, when you do your estimates, you rely on that, don't you, in terms of your shop time and all that?
Definitely. Yep.
What's that called?
Yeah, we use a program called Mitchell One.
Okay. Yep. That's not the one I was thinking of.
There's also like All Data, RO
That's the
Writer.
one I was thinking of,
Yep.
So that gives a shop a pretty good idea as to what you're getting into.
Definitely. What do you see as the future of Auto Allies, then, Courtney?
You know, I think the future is just really going to be, we just want to keep growing, you know. We want more people to know where we are and, you know, like and trust us and keep coming to us. So that's where we see our future anyway, is just to keep growing.
Well, you've got a long-time customer and myself. You know, I appreciate all the work you guys did, other than pointing out that I drove like 20 or 30,000 miles in a couple months.
Exactly.
It's all been great.
Yeah. You did as much driving as some people do in a year.
Yeah. Like, okay.
Yeah. Where'd you go?
Yeah.
Where'd you not car if you're going to do that?
Yeah.
How
Is
about
that in the works?
Speaking of cars, you've got another side of the business. Let's take a minute. We're going to run out of time here pretty quickly, but tell us briefly the other side of your business.
Yeah, so we opened up a used car dealership, just a small little lot, which is partnered inside of our building. We're hoping to grow that over the next year. So we really wanted to.
Where do those cars come from? Where do they originate from?
Yeah, most of the cars that we're trying to put on our lot are ones that, you know, customers might not want to fix, where, you know, we can see it as an investment and get it back on the road and fix it up safely.
So it's not like you're going out to the auto auction and picking stuff up and bringing it in to resell it. It's typically a car that you have some familiarity with and
for the
may have
most
worked
part.
on.
Well, as busy as you guys are, I'm sure it's hard to get to that auto auction and really bid on cars.
Yes, I've been there. I've not bought anything yet, but that's
kind of crazy.
an ordeal
that's
over
a
there.
different world.
Yes.
Absolutely. Where does most of your car stock come from? People who.
I think, you know, most of it. Well, not I think. I know most of it comes from our customers that. You know, might just not want to put any more money into it.
To do the repairs.
Or, you know, a transmission failure or engine failure or something like that we put a new engine or a new transmission in, or and get it back up on the road. Maybe do some brakes or whatnot.
But it helps that you can do all that work, right?
Yes.
Because they can't. So if you buy it off them cheap, you can get it back up and running and get it out to sell.
Exactly.
Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a smart move.
Yeah.
And once again, the credibility in the used car dealership side of things isn't the greatest. So having someone like you and Don that people know and trust, I'm sure when you put a vehicle out there on the lot, there's got to be a comfort level amongst your customers and people that know you, and
definitely
locals that drive by and see the vehicle sitting out front there. And so I think it's a great fit, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It kind of works out, definitely.
It works out well. Well, it's hard to believe how quickly time goes by. You know, we talk about it up front, how fast it goes.
Yeah.
And, you know, first time you come on the show, it's like, I'm a little bit nervous, but it does go by quickly. And, you know, we know that for those that are listening, every day we're in a battle, right? The battle to protect those that we love and the things that we have, to keep things running and keep them in tip-top shape, and just protect our interests, if you will. So we appreciate you coming in and sharing some tips with our listeners. And I will say that whether it's your business, your farm, your auto home, whatever it might be, Gessel and Associates is here to help protect those assets, make sure that you're insured properly. We can be reached at, we're going to change this up a little bit, Michael. We're going to go with a different phone number.
Well, this is always the exciting part of the show when we change up the number. Get it going.
740-852-7725. 740-852-7725. And we're also able to be reached on our website, GesselINS.com. That's GESSELINS.com. Thanks, guys, for coming on today. Sure appreciate it.